Hello, everybody. If you are here for the Pinterest Manager training, you are in the right place. I am so excited to see you all here. So, we are just a couple of minutes early here, so I'm not going to get started right away, but I would love for you to get acclimated to the chat. Side note, I think sometimes people are surprised that this is actually a live training. I know that sometimes when you sign up for something online, you don't necessarily know what you're going to be getting, but this is live. This is me. This is in real time. My husband is currently putting our kids to bed. If you hear a child yelling, they are supervised. So I would love for you, like I mentioned, to get acclimated to the chat though, because I'm going to be asking you questions throughout. I'm going to try to read as many responses as possible. Um, but what I want you to share in the chat right now is I want you to share where you're from and what you currently do. So I'm going to be checking those out. I want to learn more about you. And like I said, I'm going to be asking questions throughout. I also want to answer your questions. So I did want to mention just before we get started here that if you're putting questions in the chat and you see me not answering it, it's not because I am ignoring it or that I don't respect your questions, but it's just because I have a lot to get through, and so I got to keep things moving. So um I am going to do some Q&A at the end, but I am going to save that to the end because it's hard to answer a lot of questions throughout because then it kind of gets me derailed a little bit. But like I said, make sure you stay until the end because I want to answer your questions, but I do usually save those until the end. So I'm going to start checking out the chat, and it's already 8 p.m. Eastern time. If you're Central time, it's 7 p.m. If you're Pacific time, it's 5 p.m. So I'm sure that we have people all over the map here. Sometimes I even have people in other countries. Lydia's from Buffalo. Hi, Lydia. Molly from Ohio. Make sure to share what you currently do as well. Um, okay, let's see here. Molly from Ohio. We're neighbors. Diane from Wisconsin. I love that. I love the cheese emoji. Let's see. Christina, stay-at-home mom and virtual assistant. Very cool, Christina. Hello from North Carolina. Let's see. Emily is from Seattle in education. Awesome. And I wanted to mention too that I am human and I make mistakes, believe it or not. And um, I usually have these live trainings set up because there's a lot of people registered so that people can just enter in if they've signed up and they have the link, they can just come at any time. When I share my screen, I'm going to have to keep admitting people because I must have not clicked that in the settings that people can just come at any point and they have to be admitted. So if you see that pop up at the top, I'm just going to click accept. We're going to keep moving. So don't even pay any attention to that. So I'm just going to, as people continue to share where they're from, what they currently do, give me one more minute to make sure that I have everything set here. Let's see. On my end. And we should be ready to rock and roll. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I would love for all of you to let me know in just a minute when I do share my screen that you can see my slides and that you can hear me. Because sometimes everybody else can hear me and then one person will email me and feel a little perturbed because they couldn't hear me. But if everybody else can hear me and only one person can't, then it's probably a tech thing on your side. So let's see. Ashley from Missouri, Gabriella from Indiana. Oh, I'm from Indiana too. Molly, I work for Brandon Merchandising Company, aka we put logos on stuff. Love it. Let's see. Let's see. Tenna from Tampa, marketing coordinator for dental office. Let's see. Diane, I work for the circuit court system in Wisconsin. Very cool. Shannon, project manager in Cincinnati. Miranda, my video keeps freezing, but it's likely the bad weather we have here. Yes, I do have a pretty good connection. If somebody else has like me freezing a lot, double check your internet. Mine seems I'm not having we've have good weather here, and I do usually have a pretty strong internet connection. Let's see, was just laid off. I was a soft services manager for Cisco. Okay, so sorry to hear about that layoff. Courtney, former teacher and currently at home with my new baby. Yay, I love that. I hope you are enjoying every minute of that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead, share my screen because I have a lot to share with you tonight, and I am so excited about this. So my screen's gonna look a little bit crazy right now as I get things pulled up here. I am going to just make my self visible. So you can keep your camera off if you want to. Everybody else will be on mute except for me. And okay, let me know if you can see me and if you can hear me. Give me a yes, a thumbs up. Let's see. Yes, yes, very good. Okay, excellent. And like I said, I'm going to be clicking admit, so just ignore that. Yes, okay. Dina, M's phone, Cami are all seeing and hearing me. Perfect. And if at some point I'm just going to give this disclaimer, if what I am saying is clearly like not aligning with my slides, let me know because once upon a time when I was doing a live training, I was talking and somebody was like, I am not trying to be rude, but what you were saying is not matching up with the slides. And I think that for whatever reason, my screen had just frozen and they could hear me, but it wasn't matching with my slides. So if you think that something technical is going on, do not feel bad saying something inside the chat. So I'm going to be pulling up the chat periodically. And okay, let's go ahead and dive in. So we are at about 8:05 p.m. Eastern time, 7:05 Central time. And this is, I'm just going to tell you now, it probably will last around an hour and a half. I know that's a long time, but I want you to have such a good idea about what this career entails and give you as much information as possible so you can decide if this is something that's going to be a good fit for you. I had a call earlier this week with somebody who's interested in my Pinterest Manager Academy, and we were talking, and she said, one thing I really appreciated about between your YouTube, your live training, I also have a secret podcast. She said, it's so informative, and I felt like I really understood what this career is and what I'm going to be doing, and it helped me make that decision if it's something I want to do. She said, one thing that happened to me in the past was when I was looking into other work from home options, I felt very confused about what exactly I was going to be doing, and I had to pay something in order to just understand what the career was all about. And so that's exactly what I don't want for all of you. I want you to all, sorry, I'm just admitting everybody here. I am so mad at myself. I can't believe that I forgot to update that setting where I couldn't just let people automatically join. I don't know what's wrong with me. So anyways, I want all of you to learn what this career is about and be able to make that decision if it's for you. And of course, like I said, this is free. It's very informative, but it does take a hot minute to explain it all because, I want you to have a really solid foundation. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. So we are talking about how to make 5K monthly as a Pinterest manager. So this career is amazing because you can make a great income without working full-time hours, and you can do it from the comfort of your home or the coffee shop. Sometimes I have worked on an airplane while I'm waiting on my girls at dance, whatever you want that to look like for you. So let's talk about what you are going to discover. You're going to learn a little bit more about me, but I'm not going to spend too much time talking about myself because I want this to be about you and helping you understand this career. But the teacher in me, the former teacher in me, can't help but begin with the end in mind. So let's go ahead and start with what you're going to be able to take away from this training. You are going to learn about why Pinterest management is a must for you now, even if you feel apprehensive about your current skills and knowledge. Some of you might feel like, I don't even really know what I'm doing here, or if I could ever do this, but I want to learn more. We're going to talk about what you'll do as a Pinterest manager. Before you can decide if this is a good career fit, you have to decide, okay, this is what I'll do. This is what it entails, right? We're going to talk about how to find clients and put yourself out there so you can start making money now. This is a great time to start your Pinterest management business because we're really like towards almost at the end of quarter 3 and quarter 4 and quarter 1 of the next year. Those are times of really high traffic on Pinterest. That means people are using Pinterest a lot. That is an amazing time for business owners to be using the platform and making money. That means it's an amazing time for them to pay you to work on their account. So, we're going to talk more about that, but I'm just saying right now is a great time. And we're going to get into a little bit of mindset. I'm not a real like woo woo person, but our minds are so powerful. And truly, what we tell ourselves over and over again, it's, to an extent becomes our reality. And of course, actions have to follow that. But it's so crazy how our mind can really propel us and help us go in the direction we want to go, or our mindset can really hinder us and keep us from doing things that we want to do. And so, the mindset piece and having somebody who can coach you and help you along the way and say, you got this when you feel like you don't got this, that makes all the difference in the world. And it's something that might not sound super exciting to learn about or to work on, but it's a huge piece of this business puzzle is your mindset and telling yourself, I can do this. It's outside of my comfort zone, but I'm ready for this. So you're in the right place. You can use this as a little check system to think about, okay, this is me. I'm in the right place. You're in the right place if you want to change careers or maybe start a career. Maybe if you're currently a stay-at-home mom and you're looking to start a new career and you want to have freedom and flexibility. You're in the right place if you want to spend less time working, but you still want to make a full-time income and comfortably support your family. You're in the right place if you want a career that really has no ceiling in regards to growth and potential. You're going to learn more about the different ways that you can grow and scale your business. And just because you're working part-time hours, that doesn't mean that you can't continue to increase your income. That's the thing about entrepreneurship. It is truly one of the only things, or I should say, really careers where you can scale your income exponentially. Whereas a lot of other careers, yes, over time you can inch your way up, but not at the same rate that you can when you own a business and you have built something that's yours and the control is, truly in your hands. You're in the right place if you're serious about taking action and investing in yourself. I'm not here to sell you a pipe dream. I'm not here to say this is easy and it's overnight. I'm here to tell you that if you give 100% to this career, it's an amazing career, but it does require effort. So you're going to hear me I always tell my students, I'm like, I give tough love. I would rather be straight with you and tell you what this requires and what this entails rather than be like, it's so easy and you're going to make $1 million overnight. And I feel like we get told a lot that online these days and everything seems quick and easy. And so when we start or try something and it's not quick and easy, then we feel defeated or like there's something wrong with us. Where in reality, a lot of business models out there aren't easy and people only tell you, their successes. But at the same time, I want to be, I'd rather be straight with you and kind of give you some of the unsexy side of it so you can decide, okay, I understand it requires work, but it's worth it to me because I know that this is an amazing career and a legitimate one. So, like I said, I'm going to be straight with you and hopefully you understand that it's from a place of love and kindness and that I really just want to give you a straight, understanding of what this requires. So you're not in the right place. Like I said, I'm going to give tough love and I mean this in the nicest way possible. You're not in the right place if you're looking to get rich quick. If you needed money like last month, this isn't something that's going to happen overnight. You're building a business. Can you get your first client in 2 to 4 weeks? Absolutely. And I regularly have students in my academy who do. But, that's not to be expected. It's like I said, it's not a get rich quick thing. You're building a business, you're building a client base. It takes effort, and it's something that I've been doing for 6 years, very sustainable. But I didn't go into it thinking it was going to happen overnight. So I want you to have like a realistic understanding that this isn't something where you're going to get rich quick. Um, you're not in the right place if you don't see your time as your most valuable commodity. Money comes and money goes, but time is something that we truly cannot get more of. You're not in the right place if you're going to be mad at me spending an hour and a half of my time teaching you how you can get started on your own or have me be your mentor. So I like to be transparent in saying that I am going to give you an hour and a half of free information that is going to tell you exactly what this is, how to get started. But I do have an academy, and in that academy, I'm giving personalized coaching. And if that annoys you that at the end there's an opportunity to join my academy, then I just want to be straight with you now that you're going to be annoyed because I'm going to share more about that at the end. I wish I could teach you everything there was to know about this business, how to get started, how to make money, how to get clients, and, make it happen in 1 hour or an hour and a half, but I'm not a magician. It's going to take skills training. It's going to take work. You have to build a portfolio. There's a lot to this. So I'm going to try to give you as much as I can in an hour and a half, but it's just literally not possible for me to teach you everything in an hour and a half. You're not in the right place if you're looking for instant gratification. This is kind of like the get rich quick. So I'm looking for people who are interested in building a sustainable business that's going to be an asset for them. Spoiler alert, Rome wasn't built in a day, and your business isn't going to be built in a day. Yes, I have students who have an amazing amount of success in 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, but it's not overnight. And that just comes with the territory when you're starting a business. So I want you to stay until the end because I'm going to be answering your questions, supporting you, and I do have an exclusive invitation that I'm only offering to you. So it's not something that I offer anywhere on social media. People don't even, it's not even something I openly talk about. Yes, I talk about my free training, but I'm offering this invitation to you because you're here, you're raising your hand, and you're saying, I think this could be a good fit for me. So I want to start off with some wins. When I do my Pinterest Manager Academy coaching calls on a weekly basis, I am coaching my students and we do a Zoom call. And one way that we start off our calls is by sharing wins. And it's really important to sometimes, it's almost like flexing a muscle. When you have a really bad week and you're like, there is nothing good about this week. I had one of those weeks the other day. I say the other day, the other week. And sometimes it's almost like flexing a muscle, exercising to try and put effort into finding something positive when it felt like it was a negative week. And when I thought about it, one thing I considered, there was some not great things like going on in it's a different story for another day. But I just want to say that when I sat back and like thought about what's most important in life, I'm like, I have this business, I have my health, my kids are healthy, my husband's healthy, life is not so bad. And so, but all that to say, with my students, sometimes we're going to feel frustrated. There's times where we're going to feel defeated, and it's really important to continue to work on our mindset and look for wins, even when it's challenging. So I always like to start my coaching calls with sharing your wins, even if your win is just showing up to the call. And so I want to start this call with sharing some wins inside my academy because I think it'll really inspire you. So Robin said, I signed 2 more clients this week. Your support has made all the difference. And these students, they're talking to me in our coaching channel. We talk on a daily basis. I spend hours daily supporting my students and pouring into them. Um, Another student, Adriana, shared, I have a strategy call. It's in less than 12 hours. She just booked for $297. So she was literally making $297 for my 1 hour call. Not a bad ROI, right? Nancy, oh, I love Nancy's story. I'm going to share this with you through email. But Nancy was one where she had taken somebody else's course and she was really struggling with her Pinterest management business. She had never worked with me. She had never learned from me, but she came to me saying, Emily, I need help. And she had been trying to find a client for a year. It's a long time to be at it. And she was kind of feeling like she wanted to throw in the towel with her business. But she was like, okay, I want to work with you. My goal is to get my first client. Within 30 days of working with me, Nancy had her first client and it was at $597 a month. So $600 a month for one client. And she shared with me she signed and paid. I'm so excited. Um, Adriana sharing about her first client win. Tammy sharing about her first client plus another discovery call. You can see so many wins with this amazing business with my students inside the academy. So Before we go any further, I want to explain what a Pinterest manager is because some of you might have just found me on Instagram and you're like, I didn't even know this was a thing. Is this legitimate? I'm feeling a little apprehensive. And maybe some of you are like, no, I've actually heard of this, but I'm ready to learn more. Wherever you are, I want you to have this strong foundation because I want you to decide from a place of alignment if this is the right fit for you. I don't want anybody to be forcing something that doesn't feel right to them. I think we all have a gut instinct or like an intuition about like if this is going to be the right fit for us. So let's talk about what a Pinterest manager is. You are a small business owner. You're a service-based business. So you have services that other business owners will pay you for. This felt right to me when I was looking for work from home options because it kind of felt like this healthy ecosystem where I was going to be helping business owners by working on their Pinterest account. And in return, they were going to pay me for my services. So I'm helping them. And technically, they're helping me by funding my business and paying me for my services. However, I had something to offer them. I had skills and training, and I had this expertise on a platform that they might not know anything about. So that felt good to me. I wasn't pushing something on anybody. I wasn't trying to, you know, coerce or convince. No, business owners were booking calls with me to see if they wanted to hire me for my services. So essentially, a business owner, they'll pay you to work on their Pinterest account. So you might be here because you love Pinterest and you pin all the time, but actually, you're not going to be working on your Pinterest account. You're going to be working on your clients. So, inside my academy, I teach you all about how to log into their account, what you'll do on their account, but you actually get to work on their account for them. And that's why they want to pay you, is ultimately you're saving them time, effort. They might not know how to use Pinterest. So, as a Pinterest manager, you're a freelancer. That means you're not an employee. You're a independent contractor. You can and should work with multiple clients. You are not employed by Pinterest. You have your own service-based business and you can work with whatever type of business owners you would like to. You're also a marketer. So business owners will pay you to market on their Pinterest account. So essentially, to give a quick example, I worked with a lot of teacher business owners. I was a teacher, and they sold, a lot of my clients had a blog, and they also sold digital teaching products. And so essentially, I used Pinterest to help them, get people to their blog and ultimately buy their digital products. So Pinterest made them money for their business. And that's why they wanted to hire me, is because they a lot of times didn't have time to use Pinterest themselves. And a lot of them didn't know how to use Pinterest and market. It's very different than social media. And we'll talk more about that. But what I want you to do now is, and it's okay if it's still a little muddy, but I want you to put in the chat a 1 if this makes sense, a 2 if you're like, I'm still a little confused about what a Pinterest manager is. You can be honest. So put a 1 in the chat if this makes sense. Put a 2 if you're like, don't really understand still, but I'm going to hang with you. Okay, I'm seeing lots of 1s. I see a 2. That's okay. I see a 2, a 1, 1, 1. Okay, cool. Let's keep rocking and rolling. So now what we're going to do, we're going to do a really quick exercise called the 4 futures. And this is really important because I want you to think about where you want to be in 3 years. You are here for a reason. You're not here because you have nothing better to do on a Sunday evening. You're here because you are ready for a change. And I love that. And I'm celebrating you and the fact that you're taking time out of your night. Thank you. I don't take that for granted. Your time is precious, and there's a lot of other things you could be doing than listening to me. So you're here for a reason, though. I want you to think about, where do you want to be 3 years from now? So the good would be like, this would be my dream. So good that it almost feels like I feel a little silly saying this because I actually don't know if this is realistic. Okay would be like, this is doable. I could totally live off of this fine, not my dream result. Poor is like, this is not ideal. I would be struggling. And the worst is kind of where some of us go to when we go into this domino of doubt, where have you ever been in a position where you're like, if I make this choice, then this could happen, and then this happens, and then somehow you don't have a home, you are like not able to pay your bills, you can't afford food, you can't, it's like worst case scenario. So, of course, I don't like to dwell on the negative, but sometimes too, it's good to sit in the discomfort of like this being like where you don't want to go, because it kind of helps us to like realize like I need to make changes now. So when we're thinking about these futures, I want you to share in the chat, what is your dream outcome 3 years from now? And I want you to share how much you'd like to be making monthly and how many hours you want to work weekly. So I want you to put in the chat 3 years from now, how much do you want to make monthly? How many hours do you want to work weekly? Now, I know that 3 years is kind of far away, but it's not so far away that it's like we can't even wrap our minds around it. For me, like once we start talking like 10 years or more, I'm like, I literally have no idea. I can't even wrap my mind around that. I I read a quote recently actually, and it was like, we overestimate what we can do in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in 10 years. So 3 years is not that far away, but I want you to think about that. So I want you to put that in the chat, and I'm going to be checking those out. And just remember that this can look different for a lot of you. Some of you might be the only provider for yourself or your family. Some of you might be a stay-at-home mom and you do have another income. So even if you were making 2 to 3 to 4 to 5,000 extra dollars, that would be amazing. I know for me, I'll give an example. Good or like out of this world would have been 5K monthly. I actually didn't think that was realistic when I started my business. That was also 6 years ago. But I remember thinking I was making $1,800 a month as a teacher. I've had people say stuff to me on social media before questioning that, and I'm like, "Oh, no, I very much so have pay stubs that say, like, $908 for 2 weeks." But, I made $1,800 a month, yes, as a teacher, licensed teacher, and so to think about making $5,000 a month while working part-time hours, to me, I'm like, "That's just not even realistic." Now, the worst case scenario would have been going back to teaching, because when we did the math, childcare, daycare is so expensive that I was going to be paying to work. I was going to be losing that time with my daughter, and then I was going to be paying to work. That made no sense. If I did that for 3 years, I was losing money and that time with my daughter. That would have put me in the worst case scenario. So I really felt like when I started my business, in a way, like my back was against the wall. I didn't really feel like I had any other choice. Now, we did talk about um me possibly just staying at home, but alas, life is very expensive. And after about 8 months of me being at home, we decided that things were getting a little tight. So I'm going to pop over to the chat and see what all of you are saying. I want to give you a second here. Um, Shayna said 15 to 17,000. I love that. Samantha, my totally unrealistic 3 years from now is making 10K a month, working 15 hours a week. Samantha, I think that is amazing. I love that. Like, I'm getting so excited. Lauren, 10K a month. Diane, 5K per month would be great. 5K per month. Marisol, Amy, 10K, 20 to 25 hours. Rebecca, 3 years from now, I want to retire from teaching, making 4K a month, working a few hours per week. I love that, Rebecca. Diane, 5 to 10K monthly, 20 hours per week. I want to be working part-time, but be able to be at home with my kids at least 5 to 10K a month. I want to help my husband. Yes. I know. I felt the same way. That was another huge thing about me starting my business. I wanted another outlet. Like, but I thought about it like we are blessed. We have two incomes. I have my business now, but for a while, I say a while, it was about 8 months. My husband was the only provider, and I thought about that. And of course, I was saving us multiple thousands by being a stay-at-home mom. That is a full-time job in itself. But it's a lot of pressure. I think about that for husbands or spouses or partners. And I wanted to help in some way, but plus I also like wanted to use myself in a different way. Um, so anyways, Shannon 5K month, 10 to 15 hours a week. Kelly 10K, 25 hours a week. Caitlin 5 to 8K per month, 15 to 20 hours. Blair 10K month, 20 to 25. Courtney 5K, 15 to 20 hours. Maria 5K while still being a stay-at-home mom. I love that. Rebecca 6K, 20 hours, 5 to 10K per month, 10 to 15 hours per week. Morgan 5 to 10K, 20 hours. Alexandra 20 to 25 hours, 8 to 10K. I would love to bring home Emily 7 to 10K monthly with 15 hours. I've been teaching Rebecca 31 years and I am done. I want to help my husband's hens business. He is quite a bit younger. I love that. Molly, anything above 5 to 7K, 10 to 25 hours a week. Such a stress reliever. I generally can't even imagine the impact it would have. In a dream world, of course, 10K plus would be amazing. Dina, 3,500, 4K a month, 35 hours. I'm not sure your first name. Sorry. It says love to L. 5K would be great. As I am in final chapter of work, would love to help with my grandbabies. Oh, I love that. These are amazing. And the crazy thing is like I'm 6 years into my business, and some of you are like, I don't even think this is realistic. And I'm like, it's so realistic, and it doesn't have to take 3 years. So when we think about this though, the reason for this exercise, I'm not going to have you put in your responses for the okay, the poor, and the worst. I do want you to think about those, but for the sake of time and to keep things moving, we're going to kind of not put those in the chat. But where these lines are going, this is essentially like a time horizon. And the choices you make, let's think of us on this black arrow right here. The choices we make now, today, this week, next month, next year, in the next 2 years, they're either getting us closer or further away from where we want to go. That means that if we want a change, we have to change our actions. It's like Einstein's definition of insanity, to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results, whether that be stay at the same job or to stay at home and know that like we want another source of income. We can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. So when we're looking at this time horizon, the choices we make now ultimately get us closer or further away from where we want to go. And you can see at 6 to 9 months from now, you're either getting closer or further away, but the gap between the amazing outcome and the worst case scenario, that gap starts to get bigger. And when we look at 3 years down the road, the difference between the dream outcome and like the worst case scenario, the difference is almost insurmountable, to this point where we get in this hole and we don't know how to climb out of it. And some people might already feel like they're there now, but the fact that you're here and you're already trying to make a change says so much about you. So remember when I shared like at the beginning, sometimes we don't feel like we have any wins or celebrations. If you are like feeling frustrated and like you wish you would have made a change 5 years ago, the next best time is to start now, right? With making a change. So for some of you, just celebrate that you're here and you're looking into finding something else that could make a difference for you. And I just want to say that this isn't about just trying to like sell this career on you. This is also about me helping you decide if this is a good fit. Because maybe Pinterest management ultimately isn't for you. But my sincere hope for you is that even if this isn't the solution, that you can be like, okay, I can mark that off. Now I'm going to get closer to what will be the right solution for me. This is about helping people get to where they want to ultimately in life. So I hope you can sense that sincerity and that I just want to help you decide if this is it. And maybe it's not, like I said. Um, so going back to these wins, I'm not going to read through all of these, but I do like to share some of these because, you know, I think one thing that people think about is like, okay, Emily, you did this and you started, 6 years ago, but is this happening in 2024? Like, what does this look like for people now? And these are literally amazing women in my academy right now that are, making a huge difference in their life and for their families. So Emily, I interviewed her on Instagram. It's on a YouTube episode now, but she enrolled in my academy on May 13th. And by July 1st, she had 3 clients. And by the end of August, she had 5. She is absolutely blowing me out of the water with her amazing success, and she actually had an Etsy shop. But her Etsy shop was kind of like up and down, and she was looking for another income stream that was stable, and Pinterest management has been that for her. Erin is a teacher. She shared I signed a contract, invoice paid. Another teacher, Annie, she's another one who I just did an Instagram live with. She enrolled in February. By June, she had quit her teaching job and, she has 4 clients now. Adriana, she was a former orthodontist and she has had amazing success from the time she enrolled in January to July. By July, she had was on her path to hitting her first 5K month. I want to say it was $4,800. So you can see, amazing things are happening. So how would that feel if you could get to that dream result? Go back to those 4 futures, and I want you to put in the chat, how would that feel if you if you hit that goal, that 10 to 15K working part-time hours or 4K working 5 hours, how would that feel if you hit that goal that you shared in the chat? That goal that almost feels impossible. I would love for you to share how that would feel in the chat. Samantha, so freeing, dream come true. Gabriella, freeing, relief, right? So amazing. A dream, a big relief, less financial stress, right? Freeing. I'm seeing this resounding theme of freeing, and I can so relate to that because it's never been about becoming a millionaire, buying a yacht, having the most expensive car. For me, I wanted to be able to pay my bills comfortably. If my kids wanted to do an expensive sport like dance, I wanted them to be able to do dance. And those were some of the things that starting my business has provided for me. So we have to think about, what is it costing you to not start now? And we kind of talked about that already. So this is all possible to you thanks to freelancing and Pinterest management. So let's really quickly talk about, what is a wow result worth to you? Trade school. So when we think about going back to school, trade school is about $5,000 to $15,000 according to tradeschool.net. Going back to college and getting a 4-year degree, or maybe you started with getting your degree, anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 according to advisors. We live in this amazing time where we can change careers and we can learn new skills, but ultimately it's about finding something that's an alignment for you. So there are a lot of different options out there. And like I mentioned, I have my academy, but spoiler alert, yes, my academy helps you, start this business, and it truly gives you everything you need to be successful. It's not $5,000, it's not $15,000, it's surely not 30 or 50,000, but it does require skills training. But like I said, we live in this amazing time though where we don't have to have a formal degree in order to, start a new career. So we have to think about though, what is it worth to us to get that, dream result that we were sharing? Some of my Pinterest Manager Academy students land their first client in 3 weeks. Others, it might take a few months, but it doesn't need to take years to create a sustainable income. Think about how much we invest in, if you went to college, you got that 4-year degree, and that you have to wait 4 years before you see any return from that investment. That's crazy. So when we think about starting a business, I'm sharing this because I want you to have the proper mindset. And it drives me crazy that everything does seem so quick and easy on social media. And don't get me wrong, I share on social media like this is possible if you started your Pinterest management business. Of course, you want to step into the possibility, but it's also really important to realize that this takes work and effort. No, you don't have to go 4 years like college to start this career, but it's going to take some time. And I think that, like I said, social media has created this really unrealistic landscape about what it really entails to start a legitimate business. And it does require effort. And I tell people who are thinking about becoming a Pinterest manager that I give 100% to my students, but it requires 100% of their effort too. It doesn't just magically happen, right? So I want you to think about now this zero. are you like me? Do you have any experience? And if you are a zero, you are in good company. So what I mean by a zero is not that you are worthless because you are amazing and you are not. But what I mean is, do you have any type of transferable skills that would help you with Pinterest management? When I was thinking about this, I'm a former teacher. I'm like, this is very like I'm not self-pity, not patronizing, not self-sabotaging. I'm having the hard time finding the right word, but it was almost like demeaning to myself. I didn't feel like I had anything else that I could do because I had my degree in teaching. I'm like, I can only ever be a teacher, or I could go back and become, go back and get my master's and maybe do something with admin. But I think about that and I'm like, what is wrong with me? Clearly I have a lot of skills if I was a teacher. And now obviously I have a thriving business. But I want you to think about where you are right now. I had zero experience, sales, business, marketing, design, any of the above. Are you like me? I want you to put in the chat a one if it's a yes, a two if you're like, no, Emily, I actually have a little bit of experience. Some people come and they want to learn more about Pinterest management and they're already a virtual assistant. If you're already freelancing, you already have some experience, right? So I want you to put in the chat if you're like me. I see lots of ones, I see some twos. So both. Some of you have some experience. Diane, former teacher, I love it. And Diane, you have so many amazing skills, and you probably already realized that. Like I said, I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I need to go back to my past self and shake myself a little bit. I see a lot of twos. This is amazing. Okay. So you shared, are you like me? I'm going to kind of give you, I'm looking at the time and I'm like, I know I told you an hour and a half, and it will definitely take that long. But like I said, there will also be Q&A, but I'm looking at the time and I want to kind of speed things up, but also not talk too fast. I am a former teacher. I taught for a very short 3.5 years. You can see this is me in my classroom. And I loved my time in the classroom. And I honestly thought that I was either a teacher or I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. I never thought that I would have another career. And like I said, for those of you who are stay-at-home moms, um, or have been a stay-at-home mom, then you went back to whatever your situation is, I can just say that it is a full-time job to have kids at home. And some of you maybe don't have kids, but you watch other people's kids. You know, it's a lot of work. So I digress. After I had my first daughter, though, I had actually planned on going back to teaching. And I had even talked to the school about going back 3 days a week because I had a co-teacher. And so there was going to be consistency. So they even entertained the idea of me going back part-time because I had an inkling that um I was going to have a hard time leaving her, but nothing can prepare you for becoming a parent. I am one of 8 kids. I have lots of nieces and nephews. I've always babysat. I babysat for professors' kids when I was in college at Purdue. And I'm like, I have lots of experience with kids. Oh no, nothing can prepare you for actually having a child. And in the best way possible, though. But when I had her, I just, I looked at her in the hospital and I'm like, I can't go back. There's no way. There also, I will be very transparent in saying that it made zero financial sense. And so, it could, I guess, make sense if you had family or somebody else to watch your kids, and some people do, but you're still losing that time with them too. And so for me, I didn't have family. I was gonna have to be paying somebody to watch my daughter, and it just didn't make sense. And I also didn't want to lose that time with her. So I quit my job, fast forward 8 months, and I started my freelance business. Now, I did take a general freelance course. It taught me about what freelancing is, what services you could offer. I learned about virtual assisting, copywriting, bookkeeping, Pinterest management. I learned that these were all things that you could offer as a contractor. But I didn't have any specific skills training on each of these areas. So, what seemed like the most logical thing for me to do was start as a virtual assistant. So, kind of build up my skills, figure out what I liked, what I didn't like. And through doing virtual assisting, I was kind of doing whatever the business owner asked me to. So, I did some design, sometimes I do email management, lots of different tasks. And I did quickly learn that one way to make more is to really become an expert at one thing. So I was like, you know what? I know social media. I use Instagram. I use Facebook. I think I could be a social media manager. And I did continue to invest in more skills training because there's always strategy and things that go into it. And like I had no marketing experience. So I started with social media management. Didn't like that. After about a year, I was like, I never want to like another photo. I never want to respond to another direct message. I was so burnt out. So people were paying me to work on their Instagram account, their Facebook page, and it was not my jam. Plus, it was very like time driven too, which kind of eliminated a lot of my flexibility. Like I had clients who wanted me to be posting at like 9 p.m. on their Instagram account because that's when their audience was active. Then they wanted me to be liking comments, engaging, spending time on Instagram at like 9 p.m. And I'm like, doesn't work for me. Don't want to do this. And the beauty of it is when you're your own boss, you're a business owner, you don't have to. So then I'm like, okay, back to square one. What do I do? And from the beginning, I knew that Pinterest kind of like piqued my interest because I was an avid Pinterest user. I was like one of the OG people who had to have like an email invite in like 2010. And I planned my wedding on Pinterest. I planned my classroom on Pinterest. I planned my baby nursery. I did all of the typical Pinterest things. And I loved it, but I just didn't know how to use it for business owners. And it's definitely not as intuitive. So, like, as an Instagram user, you've commented, you've direct messaged people, you've probably even posted. But on Pinterest, it's like you've saved pins, but have you ever created a pin? Do you know how to optimize a pin? It's totally different. But that's also why business owners want to pay Pinterest managers. They also don't know how to use Pinterest for their business. So it turned after about a year of doing the virtual assistant and social media management, that's when I pivoted to Pinterest. So I started my business in 2018. And then in 2019, I was pregnant with my second daughter. Our girls are about 26 months apart. Well, we actually have three kids, but I digress. In 2019, that's when I decided to pivot to Pinterest. I let go of all of my current clients and I decided I was going to just put my head down on Pinterest. And around that time, I had a client that I had been doing social media for, and she was like, okay, I want you to play around with my Pinterest. Would you mind like experimenting? And I'll pay you $200 a month. And I was like, you do know I don't know what I'm doing on Pinterest, right? And she's like, totally fine, but I think there's something there for my business, and I'm more than happy to pay you to play around and try to figure it out. I was like, okay. Through that, literally learning through doing, I learned so much. I did invest in other skills training. I later took a Pinterest ads course, I took a Pinterest membership, but I learned so much through working with that first client. But I also learned how much I loved Pinterest and how I wanted to really focus on this service. So, what I learned through working with that client is really how Pinterest works for businesses. I had always saved pins. I loved looking at things. I loved getting inspiration. I looked up recipes, all of the things that we all love. But how do business owners actually make money? So I'm going to give you a really quick overview of why a business would use Pinterest and what it does for them. So when you go to Pinterest, you're searching. It might be tonight's dinner recipe. It might be tomorrow morning's exercises. It might be must have baby registry items. You have a problem and you're actively looking for a solution, or you're looking for inspiration. So you enter that in the search bar. It's a search engine. The next thing that comes up are pins, right? We love looking at pins because that's how we get inspired. We get excited. It's helping us plan life moments. And from there, we save pins to our boards. And sometimes we click on them and we're like, "Ooh, I want to make this recipe tonight. I need that board and batten DIY tutorial." That's when we click through, we leave the platform. Side note, I literally just bought a console table off of Pinterest. I was looking up modern farmhouse ideas and I wanted to like redo our front room, and I saw this console table. It literally was like, I want all of that. So I clicked through and I'm like, oh, the console table's on Target. From that pin, I bought a console table from Target. And I was like, perfect. So over the years, Pinterest has become so much better because do you remember in the beginning, if you were one of those people at the beginning where you would have pins, you'd click on them and they wouldn't like go anywhere, and it was like almost just like pretty things to look at? Those days are over. Now, Pinterest pins take you somewhere. You can buy, you can go to somebody's blog, you can get inspired, you can sign up for their trainings, you can sign up for their lead magnets. There are so many different ways that business owners can use Pinterest to make money for their business. So when people click through on a pin and you go to that website associated with the pin, that's where the magic happens for the business owner when they get people to their website. Bloggers, service providers, course creators, online business coaches, e-commerce businesses. There are so many different types of businesses that can use Pinterest to get people to their website. So Pinterest is a traffic driver for businesses. It gets eyes on their products, their content, and that's how they make money. But they might not know how to use it, so they're willing to outsource that. They are willing to pay a contractor. And guess what? It's a whole lot cheaper for them to hire a contractor than it is for them to hire an employee. Way cheaper. So a lot of businesses want to hire contractors because it's a lot cheaper for them than to hire an employee. So that's one thing to keep in mind too when you're thinking about like, why would a business want to hire me? My small business now, I have built up a big enough business that I have to hire people. I don't want to hire employees. I'm not there yet. I do have multiple contractors, and some of them I'm paying over $1,000 a month, but I need help. I can't do it all myself. And so I'm really supporting them by, paying them. That's their income. Of course, they have other, business owners they're working with as well, but it saves me a lot of money where like I'm not ready for employees yet. It's kind of a whole nother thing. So hopefully that's making sense. So Pinterest gets people to a business owner's website to oversimplify it. So these are some of the results I'm helping business owners get on Pinterest. Um, Over 44,000 engaged people in their audience just from Pinterest. This client of mine, she made over $8,000 in 1 month just from Pinterest traffic. So 81 checkouts, 34 purchasers. That actually was not her best month. She was one of those teacher business owners that I was telling you about earlier in the training. She sells classroom decor, like that is her niche. And so not only is she in education, but specifically her niche is like classroom decor. In August of 2023, she made over $16,000 from her Pinterest traffic. So when you're thinking about why a business owner would want to pay somebody to do this for them, it's because they're making a lot of money on Pinterest. Target uses Pinterest, Lush uses Pinterest, Peloton uses Pinterest, course creators, bloggers. These are some different. Now, do you need to work with big name brands? Probably not. But I just want to say really big businesses use Pinterest and really small businesses use Pinterest. I actually think that Pinterest is amazing for small businesses because 97% of searches are unbranded. That means when people go to Pinterest, they're not typing Target in the search bar. They're not typing Peloton in the search bar. They're not typing Nordstrom in the search bar. They're not typing Walmart in the search bar. They're typing in modern farmhouse decor ideas, right? They're typing in other like broad and small businesses though are getting discovered through those keywords. So I have grown my clients' traffic 50% year over year. I've helped clients receive revenue of anywhere from 5 to 10K monthly, as much as 16, like my client Stephanie, and strictly from their Pinterest traffic. So I don't say this because I'm trying to be like all braggy, but I say this because I want you to understand why somebody would want to hire you for this very niche service. So you can see here, Pinterest is almost a no-brainer for any business, and this means endless opportunities for potential clients. So, actually, before I move on, when we're talking about clients and I'm sharing these different types of businesses, big, small businesses all over the map who can benefit, I do want to share a really like side disclaimer. Not everybody can benefit from Pinterest. When you're thinking about business owners that might not get the best benefit from Pinterest, think of really small brick and mortars that don't really have an online presence or maybe don't, So what I mean by this is my daughter's their pediatrician office. They need patients locally. They do have a website, but they don't sell products. They don't have a blog. They have it where you can learn about their services and you can book online, but you have to be in person to be a patient at their office, right? So, would it make sense for my daughter's pediatrician office to market on Pinterest? Probably not. It has a lot of geographic constraints. However, when you're thinking about brick and mortars, there is a local boutique. They have two shops in Indiana, and they also sell online. So they have a brick and mortar, small business, but they also sell online and serve a much larger audience. They would benefit from Pinterest because they're selling their clothes online and they can ship those clothes to whoever they want. So I literally have a friend in Illinois who buys from this boutique in Indiana. I have a friend who lived in Indiana and moved to California, and she still buys from this boutique. So you can see they're serving people all over the country. So that would make sense for them to use Pinterest. So when we're going back to all these zeros, we already talked about this. That is how much experience I had. So let's talk about why you and why Pinterest. Why is this a good fit for you? And here are some more success stories of things that are happening for my students inside the academy. So Courtney, oh my gosh, so she's a former preschool teacher. She has blown me away. She also is another one who was a success story on my YouTube channel. But she said this was February 19th. You can see the timestamp. She actually enrolled October 18th of 2023, and by February 19th of 2024, she has 4 clients and she was working on her 5th. And within 4 months of starting her Pinterest management business, she was making $2,200 per month. She also was working on 2 more prospective clients, and that was with her charging $500 a month. 500 is your base. You would learn about this in the academy, but your prices only go up from there as you get more experience. So that's pretty incredible. So I share this because if you can't tell, I am so excited, not only still about teaching Pinterest, and I actually still work with clients, but serving my students. So, why Pinterest compared to all the other things you could do out there online right now? Well, Pinterest is actually a really underrated platform. And this means that a lot of businesses need to get on board. I want you to think about after this training, I want you to go to Instagram. Think about some of your favorite businesses. They don't have to be huge. I actually think it'd be good to look at some of the smaller businesses. Go and look at their Pinterest and see if they have a presence. Some will and some won't. And you'll be like, "Oh my gosh, this person's not on Pinterest." I would get so excited when I would find a business that I loved and I'm like, how are they not on Pinterest? Because I knew that I could help them and that would be another amazing platform for them to market on. So Pinterest, it's really fun because the creative piece, and you don't have to be some super artistic person. I actually think I'm more analytical than I am artistic, and it was still really fun for me. And there's so much that I want to share with you. I just wish I could teach you everything tonight. But that creative piece, you don't have to be overly creative. So I don't want that to intimidate you. But if you are super creative, it is a fun outlet. But like I said, I'm actually kind of more the other way. And I found that it wasn't hard for me to learn that skill of designing pins. Pinterest, you have the ability to batch your work. That means you're not liking, posting, commenting at 9 p.m. You can work whenever your little heart desires. And I find that my clients were really hands off, meaning that once I onboarded them, they weren't constantly checking on me or things weren't time sensitive. It was I did X, Y, and Z on a monthly basis, and I kind of did my thing. And I had a workflow and a system. So it's also a platform where you feel good. There's unlimited potential. And of course, it's rewarding helping other business owners. So, kind of back to this business model, I loved being able to help other businesses. So, the reality when I started though was I had no business experience, nor did I understand how or why business owners would use Pinterest to make money. I just loved Pinterest. That's all I knew when I first started. So since then, I have created a repeatable system for using Pinterest to drive traffic for my clients and actually convert their traffic into loyal customers for their business. AKA, I became a Pinterest expert. Now, these are actually not wins from my Pinterest Manager Academy students, but these are actually testimonials from clients. So, business owners that I was serving. So I'm not going to read you their testimonials because we just don't have time for that. But I do like to show both sides, not just my student wins, but also the clients that I was actually serving. So Shannon, we were working together even this summer. I have worked with Shannon for over 3 years. So when you're thinking about the sustainability, the stability, some of my clients I worked with for 3, 4 years, and some of them, the only reason why I ended that relationship with them was not because they no longer needed my services, but because I've just grown and expanded my business in other ways, and I really love coaching and educating, and that's really what I'm doing, even tonight. So, all that to say, kind of going back to starting your business, it's crazy how it can wind and curve and evolve. At one point in time, this was probably 2 years ago, my husband was like, "Do you think you would ever wanna coach or help people start their business?" And I was like, "Absolutely not. I'm staying in my service provider lane, happy, making over 10K a month as a Pinterest manager. No, I would never do that." What am I doing in 2024? I still do have clients, but I'm coaching. So, it just goes to show you that once you start the business, there's it can grow and evolve in so many exciting ways. So, I am actually going to skip over this slide because I want to get more into the nitty-gritty. So, if you can't tell, I'm sure you're gathering this. I have become obsessed with Pinterest. And right now, you might be thinking, this is part of the mindset that we talked about that we have to address. Roadblock number one for you. I don't think I'll ever be able to develop the skills I need to be successful. Some of you might be feeling that way right now. I've used a lot of different words, terms, and like in regards to like marketing and Pinterest, and you might be feeling I'm also talking a lot and fast. You might be feeling a little overwhelmed and feeling like this is great for you, Emily, but I don't know that I could see myself ever actually developing the skills. I'm just feeling apprehensive. I want you to think about this as a staircase or laying bricks. Let's say somebody's presenting this beautiful home to you, and it's your dream home, but you're like, I just can't wrap my mind around how I get to this result, though, right? So, with that dream home, you might not be able to start with the whole house, right? Sometimes you have to just lay the first brick. We can't get caught up in the grand plan, but just think about, is starting your business getting you closer or further away from where you ultimately want to be in 1 year, 5 years, or 10 years? It is a little uncomfortable to be like, I don't know exactly where I'll be in 5 years. But in some ways, if we know it's going in a different direction than our current direction, it can give us peace because, especially if our current direction isn't going where we want to go, right? So you just have to think about laying that first brick, taking that first step. And we just have to keep getting, even if it's 1% better. One of my favorite books is called Atomic Habits. And James Clear talks about where we would be in a year if we just got 1% better every day. So it's not about, you know, starting and having overnight success, but making a change, laying that first brick, getting 1% better. Now, roadblock number two in terms of mindset. I know this works for other people, but how do I know it'll work for me? So, the thing that I want you to think about is you are not being taught or asked to do something that you are going to be like groundbreaking. Nobody's ever done this before. And what I want you to think about is if these amazing women in my academy can do it, you can do it too. And the thing is there is a need for this, and I have a higher form for my students, and it's consistently getting filled out, meaning business owners are currently looking for Pinterest managers. And this isn't something that worked for me 6 years ago. this is something that's working for my students right now. And it just tells me the potential, and I see that in my students. So it's not about if this will work for me. I really want to encourage you, if you feel this way, to listen to the YouTube episode I did with my student Annie. It's on my Instagram. I'm actually working on getting a YouTube episode up on it. But one thing that Annie shared was that when she started her Pinterest management business, she had no doubts. She had done her research. Once she had made up her mind that she was going to do this, she was committed to it and it was going to work. And I truly believe that if you're like, I'm going to do this and I'm 100% devoted to the work, it's not if it'll work for you, it's just a when. So some people it takes 3 weeks to get their first client. Some people it takes 6 weeks to get their first client. Some people it takes 2 months. If you decide that you're going to do this and you're not going to give up, you will be successful. So I want you to think about that. I'm not going to read all of these. Adriana celebrating her fourth client. Emily, she is one where she decided to stay in the classroom, but she said that one thing that's been so, life-changing for her family is just even having the extra $1,500 a month from Pinterest management. Now, most of my students do want to actually change and quit careers. Emily was more comfortable going back, at least for another year, to teaching. But I know that it's a lot to balance having 3 clients and also still teaching, but, I've been so excited with her wins. Annie was the one that I was just sharing about her feeling like she didn't have any doubts, and this you can see this is from a while ago because I got my first Pinterest management client, and so this was, a win from a few months ago. More wins, I first signed and paid my first client signed and paid. Michaela, she was a teacher as well, got my second client. It's a dream client. Lots of wins. So, to oversimplify it, it works if you work it. You have to decide you're giving 100%. My most successful students take action, ask questions, and take advantage of the daily coaching that's inside my academy. They show up to coaching calls, they reach out to business owners via my hire form. They follow the roadmap that's given to them inside my academy, and they don't make excuses. They know that this works and they're going to work it and they're going to make this happen. So, one thing, and I say this, I mentioned this at the beginning, and I don't say this to sound harsh, but I say it out of a place of like love and support and like also being super realistic. And I read this quote recently. I don't even know who said it, but if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. But if you fight for the dreams and where you want to go and you stay at it, then that becomes your reality. But if you keep making excuses and you fight for that, you know, other option or those limitations, like I said, it sounds harsh. I know. And I don't mean that to sound harsh, but I mean it to be realistic, then you get to keep them. So, roadblock number 3, isn't it just easier to stick with my current career? I think this sounds too uncomfortable. I want you to think about this. Do you want another year of almost? You signed up and you're here tonight. You're taking time out of your life because you want more. If you're not happy with your current situation, where do you think you'll be 5 years from now? And the thing that's kind of hard is like life changes and sometimes something happens and we can't necessarily predict how we're going to feel or, where we want to be. I actually just had a call with somebody recently who she had shared that she was like waiting for test results and she might end up having breast cancer. And one thing that she had shared was it just made her realize that she's like, I need flexibility. Like, I need to quit my job. I can't, if this ends up being my reality. So sometimes life events can change, what we want in our career path. So I did love teaching. And if you're like, I love my job though, I loved my other job too. But major life events like me having my daughter, it changed how I felt. And you have to decide ultimately what's more painful, starting something new or staying where you are. For me, as much as I loved teaching, it was way more painful to think about losing money and also leaving my daughter than it was to think about starting a new career. But the thing is you need a process. You don't need a pipe dream. Like I shared before, on social media, we are sold a lot of pipe dreams. And it was kind of frustrating to me when I had somebody tell me last week that she had been interested in other like work from home options, but she never even really understood them, and she had to pay to understand them before she could even get started. And I'm like, that's like so backwards. That's why tonight's training is kind of long because I want you to have as much information as possible to decide if this could be a good fit for you before you ever invested a dollar or a minute of your time. Now, obviously, I know you're investing time tonight, but you do have to invest some time just to learn about what it entails. Why I was frustrated, I should not fr- I wasn't frustrated with her. I was frustrated for her that people are selling, you know, things that are like ambiguous. It's like you really need to know what it entails and what's going to require of you to decide if it could be a good fit for you. So, the Pinterest management game, though, if you're feeling overwhelmed in some ways, I promise it's actually way easier than you think. And this is what you need. I have a framework that is all of these wins I've been sharing for my Academy students. This is the framework that they're learning. Now, I'm going to break it down for you. Give me like 10 more minutes of your time. So, I have had I've talked to enough people that I really have a good understanding of what people want and what they need. So a lot of you, actually, this is very close to what a lot of you were saying. 15 to 20 hours a week, so part-time hours, and you want to be making 10K a month or maybe more. Now, some of you might have said less than that. So if you said 3 to 5K and I'm saying 10K, you're like, "Oh, please give me this framework," right? So the first piece to really get to that dream result is you need something that is going to provide freedom of time and money, right? So, the way that we are going to get this started with this freedom and money piece, this is how this fits into my framework. You have to have some skills training, right? You weren't born, you didn't come out of the womb knowing how to market on Pinterest. If you did, that's amazing. So, we have to take you from Pinterest user, somebody who loves Pinterest, or maybe has even just dabbled with Pinterest, into a Pinterest guru. So, you have to transform those skills you already have. Now, we all have to start somewhere. My first client that I shared with you about earlier, who was like, "Play on my account, Emily." She was actually a local business. I'm in Indiana, she's in Indiana, and she sells handmade bows. And I was so interested in her business because I have little girls. And so one thing I want to share with me, or one thing I want to share with me, oh my goodness, my friends, one thing I want to share with you is she gave me these images, she gave me videos. You are not a content creator. You're not a product photographer. You're not a videographer. Your clients will give you their images, their videos, and you get to put it into a beautiful pin that people want to click on. So, this was my first pin. We all have to start somewhere. And these were pictures she gave me. So, what I did was I put this white box that says 4th of July hair bows for girls. Now, I can think of some ways that I definitely could improve this pin. First of all, the font's a little small, a little hard to read. It doesn't really pop. So, I can think of things for sure that I could have improved upon, but we all have to start somewhere. I found this really fun though, and I did this in Canva. So, one thing that I teach my students is using Canva. I would love to know in the chat if you've ever used Canva. Apparently, I must have been living under a rock because when I have trainings, I've asked people this before, and I feel like a lot of people have used Canva. But let me just tell you, back in 2018, I had never even heard of Canva. So if you have never heard of Canva, but you want to be a Pinterest manager, you are in good company. Now, the next piece of this freedom and money. First, we have to get some skills training. Right now, if you don't have skills training, you don't really have anything to offer. And I don't say that to sound harsh, but I say that to sound real. I want to check the chat to see what everybody's verdict is on Canva. Um, yes, I use Canva for invitations for events. I love Canva, so easy to use. Love that, Tenna. Yes, I love it, love it, love it, love Canva. Oh my gosh. This confirms my suspicion that I lived under a rock in 2018 when I hadn't used Canva. Okay, so you're using Canva. But okay, so we have to transform those skills because in order for somebody to pay you for your services, you have to have skills training and services to offer, right? Now, the no hustle Pinterest automation, this was huge for me. You use a scheduler. I had 3 clients in the beginning. So, well, in the beginning, I actually only had one Pinterest client. But anyways, I digress. That was Liz. I started to get more clients. So I had Liz, and then my second client was Kadeen, and then my third client was Amanda. And I started to kind of create this workflow where I'd work on Liz's account on Monday, I'd work on Kadeen's account on Tuesday, and I'd work on Amanda's account on Wednesday. And I would batch my work. And when I would schedule it, I didn't have to touch their account for another week or 10 days because I would schedule out their content. It was sometimes I would work at like 4 in the morning. I kept very odd hours, but the whole point here was that there was freedom of time and I was getting that money for the skills and the training that I had. Now, as we think about increasing your income, though, what I'm going to teach you in the academy is you have to go from beginner to expert pricing system. So, over time, as you get more experience, you are going to become a Pinterest guru and you're going to have proven results. And so you start to increase your income. So you're not charging hourly, you're actually charging by package. So I teach my students what services to offer, how to price those services, and I also coach them through when to increase their prices. So $500 a month is a very normal beginner price, a beginner base package. When I was working with clients 3, 4 years in, I was charging anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 a month, and I had the results to back it up, and I had business owners who were more than happy to pay that to me, especially when they're making $16,000 or more on Pinterest, right? So you start to scale your pricing over time. Now, to be very brutally honest, if you don't have clients, you don't have a business. You have to acquire clients. And this is the one thing where I think people are like, where do these people come from? And it's a great question. Like, how do I get clients? There are lots of different strategies for finding clients. I say lots. There's actually a handful. However, you can utilize all of the different strategies for finding clients. And this is what I teach you in the academy, different strategies for finding clients. Because, like I said, you're not just getting skills training, you have to acquire clients or you don't have a business because you're not getting paid. So, what I teach my students is how to create a portfolio. You don't have to create a website day one. Do not create a website day one. I don't want you to do that because that's going to take a lot of time. It could take a lot of money. Create a portfolio. You can create your portfolio in Canva. This doesn't need to take you 5 months to do. This could take you like a day or two to create your portfolio in Canva. So we're going to get you booked out using your portfolio. Do you remember my student Courtney, who's making $2,200 a month after just 4 months? She was using a portfolio. She did not have a website. So be like, whew, don't have to create a website day one. We're going to teach you how to get booked out with a portfolio. Now, I want to give you a really quick overview of some of the different ways you could acquire clients. I do not recommend using Instagram and like TikTok to find clients. Can you use social media to find clients? Yes. Do I think that's the most effective strategy for somebody who's a beginner? No. So breathe a sigh of relief knowing that I had a very great service-based business and acquired lots of clients and did not have an Instagram account. Clearly, if you probably found me on Instagram, you're like, Emily, you're all over Instagram now. Well, I also have, I've kind of transformed my business model too. When I was only offering services and really like the first 3 years of my business, I didn't use Instagram at all to get clients. So you can use that, but none of my students are really utilizing social media to get clients. Now, I say that you can use Facebook groups. So in my academy, I teach my students how to use Facebook groups, but it's not like you're posting on your Facebook page or like, doing anything like that or messaging friends asking them to pay you for your services. I'll give you a list of business Facebook groups where people will post and be like, hey, I'm looking for a Pinterest manager. You can use platforms like Upwork, Indeed, Fiverr. Those platforms essentially connect business owners with contractors. And business owners will say, like, hey, I'm looking to hire a Pinterest manager, and you can apply via those platforms. So One of my favorite methods, though, this is something I go in depth in. I am like going so long here. I'm not going to go in depth now, but I do teach you how to reach out to potential clients. Remember when I said go on Instagram, your personal Instagram, look at some of your favorite businesses, see if they're on Pinterest. What I teach my students is how to pitch to potential clients who they know could benefit from their services. Am I saying send them a direct message on Instagram? No, I'm not. What I'm saying is find their email, follow my strategy for how to craft an email that's authentic. It's not sleazy, it's not pushy. I even teach my students how, like, what to say, how to craft the email so that it comes across really authentic and like from a place of service, saying like, "Hey, I would love to help you, and I sincerely think you could benefit from Pinterest." But I'm also teaching them how to put together a personalized PDF so that they can say, "Are you interested in learning more about what Pinterest could do for your business? I've put together this PDF and I would love to teach you or show you what Pinterest could do for your business." That piques a business owner's curiosity and it really sets you apart because they're like, wow, this person's kind of going the extra mile here. So I'm really passionate about that strategy because it totally eliminates the question or concern about finding clients. You will get clients from pitching, and that is just like a numbers game. And the thing is you don't have to do a crazy, insane, like 2,000 pitches or something volume when you are following a strategy that's effective and personalized. Now, the next piece to getting the right client load in this client acquisition piece is having systems in place. If you wanna work part-time hours, you gotta be organized and you gotta have systems. Remember how I kind of, mentioned how I'd work on this person's account this day and this person's account that day. Everybody's schedule looks different, but in order to get faster and better at the work and to take on more clients, you have to have systems. And that's what I teach you inside my academy so that you don't just understand how to use Pinterest, but you can effectively use it and manage multiple clients on the platform. So, the last piece is very important. No one is left behind. And one thing that my academy includes that is so, so different is personalized coaching. This isn't some, you know, generic course where it's like, hey, enroll, best of luck. This should probably work for you. No, it's like, this is just our time starting together. I feel very protective of my academy because I work closely with my students. I know my students. We talk daily. This is not your average thing out there. And it really sets my academy apart because you are getting that personalized support. I cannot tell you how many people have told me either why they were interested or why they ultimately wanted to enroll in my academy was because of the personalized piece. And I actually just did a survey of my current students last week because I always like to take a pulse on like how people are feeling. And the resounding theme about what has made the difference in people's success and, making this happen for them was the coaching piece and having that support, having somebody to answer their questions. Because guess what? You can have all the skills training in the world, but you're going to have certain things come up, nuances, client questions, things that you're not sure how to navigate because you've never done before. And if you don't have anybody to answer your questions, you feel like you're stuck. But my academy, because you have that personalized coaching, you don't have to feel stuck. You can have somebody there to support you who has already done what you want to do. So, another piece, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. I'm going to move this up. This is kind of getting in my way. Okay. I have a 6-week Pinterest accountability blueprint. So if you are somebody who's like, I need a step by step by step to keep me on track, that is what that blueprint is. And it tells you like week 1, get this done. Week 2, get this done. Does that mean my academy lasts 6 weeks? No. That blueprint is to get you as close as possible, if not having a couple of clients, as quickly as possible. My academy is actually 6 months, and the reason why I want my academy to be that long is because I want you to not have 1 but multiple clients within that 6 months, and to have coaching while you're working with clients so that when these questions come up, you don't feel like you're in the dark, but you have somebody to support you. There's also community, you get coaching, you can talk to other students, and it really helps unstick you. So, we're almost done here. A very typical introductory package for Pinterest managers range from $450 a month to $700. So, when you're thinking about this and kind of thinking about, what this can look like for you, if you landed 5 clients at 450, you'd be making $2,250 a month. If you landed 5 clients at $600, you'd be making $3,000 a month. If you landed 5 clients at $1,000 a month, you'd be making 5K monthly. And so I say this because remember when I said that as you really refine your skills and your expertise, you're going to start charging more and more? I want this to paint this picture for you to see where this can go and see that it's so realistic to think about making not just 5K monthly, but 5K monthly and beyond. I don't have enough time to talk about all the different ways that you can scale, but let's say you never want to have more than 5 clients. There's still other ways that you can scale your business so that you're working part time hours, but you're still making more than 5K monthly, even. So tell me, what is going to make this quick and easy for you? There are two things that are not necessary to win the Pinterest game. You don't need a formal degree in marketing and business, and you don't need prerequisite skills that make you uniquely qualified. So, what about you? How passionate are you about changing your current reality? Let's talk about why you showed up. You're ready for more. You want results and probably pretty quickly. And deep down, you know it's time for a change and transformation in your life. It's your time, and I have an important question for you. Do you feel hopeful? I would love to hear how you're feeling. Done a lot of talking, and I'm almost done. Carrie, have used Canva for everything. Feeling exciting. Love that. Or feeling excited. Yes, I need to change. Excited. Hopeful. Super excited. Yes, definitely. Yes, yes. Love that. Remember, nothing I've shared today is theory. It's what I've done to literally change my life, and it's positively impacting other women and moms as well. You can see here that my students are sharing so many wins. You've got two options. You can try to figure this out on your own. I have taken already like 90 minutes of your life to share more with you about this career. And if you want to try to figure this out on your own, then you can try to put those puzzle pieces together. But if you want to learn from somebody and also receive that coaching, I do have an option. And I've been talking to you about this throughout the entire time, and I know I shared this at the beginning that there was going to be an invitation. I do have my academy. It's what I've been, talking about the entire time. And it's the education, skills training, coaching, mentoring, and of course, everything I've learned over the years boiled down for you into one incredible academy. Literally everything you need to be successful at this career. And the beauty of it is that, you know, I've had my academy for nearly a couple of years now. It'll be 2 years in January, and I've had to update it as Pinterest has made changes, but I've continued to refine it and make it better based off of also feedback from my students, and if there's ever something that they're like, "This would make it even better," I go in and I update things, but I'm actually talking to them daily. Now, I hope this isn't a surprise. If it is a surprise, surprise! But the academy does require an investment. I am investing countless hours. This isn't something that I created 2 years ago. I'm just sitting back, relaxing, making money. I pour into my academy. There's a weekly coaching call. I'm coaching daily inside Slack. This is something that I pour into and I take it very serious, and I'm only looking for students who are also going to take it serious as well. And I love my students and I feel personally connected with them. And I tell people that when they enroll, it's like just our, start in our time working together. So that's something that this makes it very, very different from a lot of other things online. And that could be good or bad, depending on what you're looking for. But I find a lot of people, it gives them a lot of peace of mind and comfort. And like I said, it ultimately makes a huge difference in their overall success. So, what makes it unique? It's anything but a course. I don't call it a course because it's not a course. When I think of course, I think of skills training. Here is the training. This works in theory if you do this. That's great. I think that this requires more than just skills training. I really think that you need not just the education. Education is great. Skills training is great. That sounds like I'm poo-pooing courses, and I've taken lots and lots of courses online. But I think a lot of times we need more than that. I think we need that coaching and that support so that we can get that result that we want. And a lot of times we have questions. We get stuck and sometimes we're lacking belief in ourselves. Sometimes we don't know how to respond to an email. Sometimes we can't log into the person's Pinterest account and we just need somebody to create a Loom video for us. And that is truly what makes my academy so different. I create Loom videos if somebody needs help. I send them voice memos if they have questions. They're getting personalization and somebody who truly cares about their success. I'm fighting for your success, but you have to fight for it too. And I really feel like that coaching is necessary in order to start and succeed at this business model. And, this is really creating, hopefully, the fastest track to success for you. So, I'm not going to go over this. I kind of already talked about my framework and we've already gone way too long here, but I want to give you a few fast facts. Feel free to start putting some questions inside the chat. I'm going to give you the next steps. So, you don't have to wait when let's say, hypothetically, you enroll in the academy. You don't have to wait a specific amount of time before you get your first client. The more action you take, the faster you'll see results. So, like I said, a lot of my students are charging $500 a month. So, if they land their first client in 3 weeks, guess what? They just got a $500 invoice paid. I have students get on discovery calls, I'm getting tongue tied, and land clients within 4 weeks. In some students, it takes more like 8 to 12 weeks, depending on how much time weekly they're devoting to the academy. Most of my students are spending around 1 to 3 hours a day during the week with their new Pinterest management business. So when you're thinking about that time investment, it takes time. I've been very transparent, tried to be as transparent as possible in regards to, that this doesn't just happen. You have to take the skills training, you have to put in the work. It takes time to create your portfolio. And so most of my students either have a full or a part-time job though. They're not spending 6 to 8 hours a day working on this. Some people are like, I maybe have like 30 minutes to an hour. If you are consistent, even if you're only spending an hour during the week, let's say Monday you spend an hour, Tuesday you spend an hour. If you're being consistent, you will see growth and results. Of course, if you're spending more time, you're going to make more progress, and it just kind of is what it is. So the academy has proven results. However, it's completely, you get out of it what you put into it. If you don't put anything into it, of course, you're not going to get anything out of it. I've had as many as 18 clients at once, and it was a lot. However, when you think about scaling your business and thinking about, okay, I don't want to just even make 5K monthly, there's training and education about how to continue to scale your business. So I'm going to prepare you for the next slide. This is me being like super straight, blunt, mean this in the kindest way possible, but like I said, just being really straightforward. I'm going to give you my Pinterest Manager guarantee, and it's not your average guarantee. The Pinterest Manager guarantee, I am going to show you my proprietary processes for marketing on Pinterest and managing accounts, and it includes personalized coaching. I'm going to be lifting the curtain on my business, and as a result, for those that enroll in the academy, all sales are final. If you're the type of student that needs a guarantee, then you aren't the type of student I want to work with. And I know that sounds harsh, but I need you to know that it's not on me. I can't give you a guarantee. I actually feel a certain kind of way about guarantees because there's a lot of things that aren't guaranteed in life. It's not a guarantee that you're going to have a certain income, like, even with getting a degree in college, you know? I think about, like, the different teaching jobs and what opportunities were available and what even different schools paid. There's a lot of things where there's just not guarantees, and it's not a guarantee that, if you have a certain GPA, now there's things that definitely increase your chances, right? But there's a lot of things that in life are just not a guarantee, and I am looking for students, for example, like Annie, who are like, I didn't have any doubts. I know that this is a legitimate service. I know there are people out there willing to pay me, and I'm going to do this. And I was 100% committed. That's the type of mentality I'm looking for. So I want motivated self-starters that can take instructions and aren't looking for a way out before they buy into it. If you aren't serious, that's okay. But if you are, I know that my results are inspiring. So when I say my results, they're not my results, they're my students' results. And that's, totally a reflection of them putting in the work. Yes, they had the support, the training, the education, the coaching, but it still required them to do the work. So I could keep reading all of these wins. There's a lot of them, but if you are looking for undeniable proof, go to my Instagram. My first highlight is Academy wins. I have so many Academy wins to share that essentially Instagram told me I couldn't put any more like screenshots and wins from my students on that highlight. So if you're looking for proof, there is lots of proof, but it ultimately comes down to you putting in the work. Um, I'm literally just sitting here clicking through all of the testimonials and feedback I have because I can't take the time to read this right now. I do have a higher form that makes the academy really different because, well, the academy is different for a lot of reasons, but I also even give my students leads. So I'm not competition for my students. I'm not actively taking new clients. Do I still work with clients and have, my services? Yes. But I'm not like Shannon, who I've worked with for years. I'm not taking new clients. So I have a higher form on my website. I share that on social media. I share that on my email list. I share that lots of different places. And I regularly have business owners who are like, hey, Emily, I want to hire one of your students. So you get those leads as well. So this is essentially the one-stop academy for creating a successful Pinterest management business. I do have to limit my numbers. And actually, I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to update this. In September, I have already had 7 students enroll. I had some that I had been communicating with in August who had interest. And so on a monthly basis, I feel like I can take so many new students. This is something that's really exclusive, and I work with my students closely. I'm looking for students who are action takers and ready to put in the effort and are 100% committed. And like I said, I can also, because there is coaching involved, I can only take so many students. So actually this number is really like down to like 8 spots, but that's still quite a few. So I will say, because of the coaching, it is a larger investment. So the academy, what I'm looking for are students that are willing to commit 1 to 2 hours a day and take consistent action. So much action that it makes it unreasonable to think you won't be successful. So the next step, what I'm going to do now is I am actually going to stop sharing my screen for a minute. If you are interested and would like to enroll in the academy, the next step is to actually book an application call with me. So I do ask that before you enroll, you book an application call. Let's say you are like, you've literally already made up your mind and you're like, I am going to enroll no matter what. If you feel like undeniably like committed to this, I would be happy to share that enrollment page with you and we can chat through email. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to share the application link because this is through application. I know the question is always like, how much money is it? How much money is it? I do like to have those conversations personally with people because there's a couple of different payment options. It starts at $497 a month though. So it is a bigger investment, and that is because you're getting personalized coaching. That's very different from a lot of other things out there. And so, like I said, it's not your average program. But I love that personalization. I love working closely with my students. I understand that this might not be for everybody, and I respect that. And I just want to say thank you so much for your time. And I totally understand if, you know, and respect wherever you are in your life. Um, so let me do this really fast. Okay, so if you are like, Emily, I want to book a call with you. I want to apply. Give me that link. I am sharing that in the chat right now. So those calls, I do want to say those are first come, first serve. And my schedule is I don't want to say like super limited, but I do have some calls already scheduled this week. And I just want to say that if you book a call, I just ask that you respect my time, you respect your own time, but you also respect other people's time. Because if you book that call, you're taking that time from somebody else who could potentially book that call. So please only book if you are committed to showing up and participating 100%. Now, I know that sometimes life happens, and I've had people be like, "Can I reschedule?" And yes, of course, you can reschedule if something happens, and you can actually do that on your end. So let's say you booked a call and you need to reschedule, you can do that from your side. But I just ask that you don't book a call and then not show up, just because that I also take that into consideration when I'm thinking about the application process. And I know that sometimes life happens, but, I like I said, I want you to respect your time, my time, other people's time. So I'm going to share that link to book an application call. Oops, I just sent that as a direct message. Sorry. Let's see. Okay, so I'm put that in there again as far as booking an application call. Let me start looking. Oh, Emily, such a good question. Okay. Emily, I'm not sure if you're still here. Are you still here, Emily? Yes. Okay. I am worried about the independent contractor business ownership piece. Totally get that. I was worried about that too, Emily. When I first started my business. How do taxes and business accounting work? Does the academy cover the business creation nuts and bolts? Such a good question. Okay. So I have had, obviously, this is not a surprise, my business for 6 years now. And I was very worried about this piece. I feel very comfortable supporting and answering whatever questions come up for you in regards to those logistics. The one thing this is like a bonus. I didn't even share this yet. It's not like a bonus, it is a bonus. I have guest experts come in and do trainings. I feel very comfortable answering tax questions, questions about like getting your EIN number, things like that, business foundations. But I actually wanted to have somebody who is a CPA come in and talk about taxes because I am comfortable answering those questions and telling you what I've done for my business, but I'm not an accountant. When I started my business, we actually we had been going to, I don't know why we didn't just do it ourselves, but we didn't. We went to like H&R Block, but when I started my business, my husband also, he was starting to like invest in Robinhood and some different things like that where like he had stocks, and we're like, you know what? We just need to hire somebody. So we hired an accountant. And what I did is I started paying quarterly taxes. So, anyways, I've kept my business in good standing. It was something that I was really stressed about, and it ended up not being nearly as intimidating as I thought it was going to be. But I actually do have a guest expert training in the academy with somebody who is a CPA. She talks about establishing your LLC and when to do that. She talks about covering taxes and those quarterly taxes, getting your EIN number. So, for example, your EIN number is essentially like your identification number associated with your business. So, when I am filling out like tax paperwork for my business, um, or like if I have a client submit a tax document to me, because your clients will actually give you paperwork that they need you to fill out. Instead of using your social security number, you use that EIN number. And so it's the number associated with your business. So in the beginning, you technically don't have to have your LLC. You could work as like a sole proprietor, but it's good to have your LLC though, because it really separates like your business from like your personal. So I will say, like, day one, if you don't have clients yet, that's not like something that you have to stress about, but it is a good thing to do. And I refer students to watching that guest expert training because, like I said, it's somebody who is a professional in that area. And so that's why I had somebody come in and actually do a training in my academy. And like I said, I'm happy to answer your questions, but I do have to share the disclaimer, like, I'm not an accountant. But I've also run my business, kept it in good standing. I pay quarterly taxes. Another thing is too is like I've never had any like whoopsie or like huge surprises where I'm like, "Oh my gosh, how much I owe?" Because those are the things where we're like our worst fears like, we get to like taxes and we've had our business and we're like, you owe all this money and you're not prepared. And that can like lead us into like, you know, spiraling like this is the worst case scenario type of thing. So I've never had any of those situations, but I think that guest expert training though, my students, they feel much better after like they watch that and get that information. And of course they can ask me questions. And it's one of those things you literally can talk to me daily. If you're like, Emily, I have more questions. Would you have her back to do another guest expert? You can ask me to arrange that and I will. That's the thing is like I really listen to my students and like I've had them make specific requests in regards to guest experts or maybe something that's like out of my wheelhouse and I am more than happy to have other people come in. So I had somebody come in and talk about time management. I had somebody come in and talk about like mindset and overcoming business obstacles. And of course, like these are things I'm, happy to talk about, but I think it's nice to hear other people's perspectives too. So it's kind of like an added bonus. I had a Canva expert come in, which was really fun because I teach Canva in the academy, but I wouldn't say that like all I do is work on like, I mean, okay, I do a lot of work on Canva, but I'm not like, I'm a Canva guru. Like that's not all I like live and breathe. And this person is like a Canva expert. And so she taught like my students like lots of like tips and tricks and shortcuts and things that you might not know. Let's see. Okay, Aaron, do you have any students that are that are Canadian? I'm wondering if this is transferable to Canadian businesses or if I could work with American companies as a Canadian. Yes, Aaron, so glad you asked that. I have oh my gosh, it's almost 10 o'clock my time. I almost said I have countries. I have students all over like the country, but all over the world. So as a Pinterest manager, I have worked with clients in Australia. I have worked with clients in Canada. I've worked with clients in lots of different places. I also have students in Canada. I have students in the Philippines. I have a student in Nigeria. I have two students. This is kind of random. I have two students who are in Romania, and actually, one of my guest experts is located in Sweden. And she was sharing how she's a Pinterest expert in Sweden and her client base is in that country. And not only is she a Pinterest manager in that country, but she's also niche down. She does like home decor and that like design space. And so it just tells me so much about like that this isn't just in the US. There are literally Pinterest managers all over the world, which is really cool. So I hope that helps though, Aaron. How long do you or how long do you know to work with a specific business for? So Gabriella, I'm wondering if if you're asking like how stable and consistent is this? The thing to know about Pinterest is that a lot of like your most popular package is going to be a retainer package, meaning that it's going to be ongoing work, ongoing income. So it does depend client to client. Some of my clients I had for 6 months, some of them I had for like 3.5 years. And the thing to know about that is that Pinterest is very dependent on consistency. And a lot of businesses, they're not wanting to constantly hire a new contractor. So if they hire you to do like a management package, I call that like a monthly maintenance package, it's ongoing work. Now, some of them will say, like, can we do like a 3-month trial and then like reassess? But one thing you'll learn about in the academy is that Pinterest thrives on consistency. So if they're just getting started on Pinterest, they're not going to see overnight results. And business owners understand that. Pinterest, because it's a search engine, it's like YouTube, Google. You're not going to rank on the first page of Google the first time you publish a blog post and have optimized it using keywords. So Pinterest is very similar. So a lot of times business owners know that like if they hire you, this is something that like they're going to need consistent, marketing. And that means they need your services ongoing. So it's not like you're always like doing one-off projects. Now, I don't know if you were here, but I did mention at the beginning of the training, like I read a win. One of my students got a strategy call and they were charging 297 for like a 1 hour strategy call. That would be like an example of a one-off service. But most of your clients are going to be maintenance packages. Now, occasionally you'll do an account setup where you set up their account and then, it was like a one-time project. But once again, most of your work is going to be maintenance. So, Gabriella, you could have clients for a few months, they could be a few years. Samantha, I'm Canadian too. I love that. Lydia, I'm about to have a baby in 7 months. Would I be able to take maternity leave for my clients? I wouldn't want to leave them hanging. Oh, Lydia, I love this question because that was me. So when I had Joelle and Lola, actually, those are two of my girls. Let's see, Joelle was in 2019, December of 2019, and Lola was in April of 2022. Both times I was working with clients. Joelle, it was a lot easier because I didn't have very many clients. I think I was only working with actually like 2 at the time. And so I like had talked to Kristen about it and I was like, I'm just gonna get ahead on your work. I kind of like built in a maternity leave. So I got ahead on her work. I talked to her about me having a baby, but still wanting to work with her. And so before she came December 22nd. She was actually due on Christmas Eve. In December, I had my mother-in-law come a couple of different times, and my mother-in-law would, like, watch, my two-year-old at the time for the day, and I went to Starbucks, and I worked a little bit more ahead of time so that I could get ahead and kind of, um, plan for that maternity leave, but you could do a few different things, Lydia. You could tell your clients that, like, you're taking, 6 to 8 weeks for maternity leave, and you would love to start work back up after baby. The other thing you can do is you can, if you already have kids, you would have to arrange for childcare, or if you have a current job, you'd have to like maybe take this into consideration on the weekends, but you'd have to get ahead on the work. So, with the nature of Pinterest, because you can batch your work and you can get ahead, when I had Lola in 2022, I had multiple clients. And so I did talk to them. I was very transparent. And I want to say I talked to them around like 20 weeks, where like I still had, multiple months to let that sink in for them. But I essentially was like, I know you're consistently like creating new content that we're gonna want to create pins for, yada yada yada. But I said, I'm having a baby. Is it okay with you if I get, your content scheduled ahead? And I kind of like build in this maternity leave. And they were okay with that. And so it's one of those things where like you can plan for that accordingly, but also too, like if you want to hit pause, just know the hardest part is getting started. And let's say after your maternity leave that I know it's hard to let go of client work, but let's say after your maternity leave, they decide to not continue on with services or something, there are always more clients out there. And I really felt like my business, it ebbed and flowed, and sometimes I would take steps back, or I would let go of clients when I knew I was gonna have a baby because I didn't, want to try to, like, batch all of it, or sometimes, like, if somebody had just not been the best client anyways, I'm like, "This is a good opportunity to kind of cut ties." So, it kind of depends on you, and one thing that's nice too, Lydia, is that as that approaches and you want help with navigating that, like, if you're in the academy and you're receiving that coaching, those are things that we can talk about, we can plan for, those are things that, like, when you're having discussions with clients and you're trying to figure out how to word it or, like, what to email them, it's so nice to have that coaching and be able to, you know, like, talk that through with me too, so hopefully that helps, Lydia. Carrie said, "Is the $501,000 package, so many pins included, so many hours, how is it packaged?" Oh, Carrie, so the $500 to 1,000 monthly package, 500 is like your beginner pricing. When you're getting closer to 1,000, that's more of like your expert level pricing. And I teach that in the academy, like when to move or increase your prices. However, you will have a base package. And let's say your base package has 30 pins. Let's say somebody is like a prolific blogger and they want not 30 pins, but they want like 90. If you're literally doing more work, then of course you're going to increase your prices. But one thing I want to mention about that though is like when I kind of showed the way that you're tiering your pricing, I was trying to show that like you start with beginner pricing, but as you get more experience, you start increasing your prices. So it's not that you're doing more work and getting paid more, you're increasing your prices as you get more experience and you can charge more for that expertise. So hopefully that makes sense, Carrie. Um, let's see. Okay, I see. Oh, Karen, sorry, crying babies have to drop off. Karen, crying babies always come first. This has lasted so long, so Karen, bless you for staying this long. Oh, Alexandra, how often do you take on new clients to coach? I know you are looking for 15 people right now, but will there be other opportunities in the near future? So, Alexandra, I am so sorry. One thing I mentioned was that I've actually had multiple students already enroll this month, so it's actually more like 8 students that I can take on this month. It just depends from month to month. I need to look at October numbers. It usually goes month to month because what this looks like in the academy is people receive 6 months of coaching, and when that time comes to an end, some people decide that they don't wanna be done with coaching and they continue to do coaching with me, and so they get to continue on with coaching if they wanna do that. Others have, like, 5 or 6 clients, they're ready to spread their wings and leave the nest, and that's fine too, but when they're done with their coaching, that makes me feel like it's opening up capacity, if that makes sense. So in October, if I have 5 students who are finishing up with their coaching, they're not continuing on either, then I feel like I can take on 5 new students. So, excuse me, let me know, Alexandria, if that makes sense. I haven't looked at my October numbers yet. I've just kind of gone, right now I'm just got have September on the brain. So hopefully that makes sense. Oh, Samantha just asked if there is an option to stay or extend. Yes. So I just mentioned that. But like if you are wanting to stay in the academy and you're like I don't want to be done with coaching, like I want to continue on, then there is absolutely an option for that. So I don't want anybody to feel like they're getting like kicked out or pushed out. Like if you want to continue on, you can. And so there is an option for that as well. Carrie, yes, thank you. Oh, good. You're so welcome, Carrie. Alexandria said, totally makes sense. Thank you. You're so welcome. Okay, so I'm going to share this link to book a call with me one more time. This is literally almost 2 hours. You are all amazing. Thank you so much for staying with me. I think I have most of the questions answered. And I just want to say that I don't take it lightly that some of you literally had like a crying baby or you just took 2 hours out of your night. Even if this is something that you don't end up doing or you decide to take like a path on your own, I just want to say thank you so much for giving me your time. Like I said, I truly believe that like time is our most valuable commodity. It's the one thing that we can't make more of and we can't get back once it's passed. And I just want to sincerely thank you for giving me your time tonight and listening and being kind. And I really appreciate that. Shannon said, if you know you're definitely interested, can we sign up during our call? Yes, of course, Shannon. I would love that. Absolutely. That is definitely a possibility, Shannon. So, I don't know how many people have booked calls, if anybody, I think so. Um, but I am so excited to chat with you. Because I don't see any other questions, I'm gonna start wrapping this up. One more thing I'll drop in the chat. I personally I am always answering emails. So I try to be fast too. I do have an assistant who helps me. Her name is Erica. She has worked with me for years. She is literally a gem of a human. So if you ever get an email from Erica, she is on my team. I try to answer emails as quickly as possible, but Erica does help out because she it just kind of speeds up the process, but just know that like a real person is reading your email. If you have a question and you want to personally reach out, if Erica doesn't know the best response, she personally messages me before she responds to the email. So just know that your emails are important to me. They're important to Erica. And if you want to personally email me, hello@emilyvales.com, with questions, or if you were wanting to like look over the enrollment page, if you already booked a call and you're like, I'm so excited to chat with you. I do love to chat with people, but I also know sometimes too, like I had somebody who was kind of annoyed that they were like that to book a call with me, but I've also had people be like, this alone, having this call and actually being able to talk to you one on one and like me being able to share where I'm at, talk about questions I have. I know that personalization, I'm like, that's just the beginning of the personalization you get in the academy. There's this mutual, like, I want you to be invested 100%, but I am not in the business of encouraging people to do something that might not be a good fit for them. And I like application calls because it helps me guide you in the right direction. I have actually sent emails to people where I'm like, I don't think this is the best fit at this time. And it's not because I'm like trying to be judgmental or anything like that. But if I can sense somebody's half in and half out, I don't think it's the right fit, and that's okay. I want them to wait until they're, like, undeniably like, "This is for me." And so, like I said, with the calls, I don't want that to, like, turn anybody off or anything, but just know that, like, it takes time out of my day too, but it's important to me because I just wanna help guide you in what's gonna be the best fit for you, your life, your family, your circumstances. So, let's see. You're so welcome, Emily. Shannon said, thanks. This has been great. Thank you so much for staying, Shannon, and your kind words. Alexandria said, thank you very much. This has been so informative. I appreciate you being so real. Oh, you're welcome. Okay, so I will not take any more of your time. I hope all of you have a beautiful evening. If you booked a call with me, I can't wait to chat with you. If you didn't and it's not for you right now, that's okay. Thank you so much for your time. I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of their Sunday. And if you booked a call, I'll be talking to you soon. And if you send an email, just know that that will be responded to. So, thank you all so much and talk to you soon. Bye, friends.